Why everyone, welcome to my channel Trust Test. I'm still trying to process how my entire world fell apart. For half a decade, I poured everything I had into supporting the woman I loved, helping her chase her dreams. Now, just as we should have been starting our future together, she's gone, choosing a wealthy man from her workplace over me. The betrayal cuts deeper than I ever imagined possible. Our story began 6 years ago at a local gathering. I was 24, she was 21, and the connection felt instant and powerful. She possessed intelligence, drive, and captivating beauty. We spent the entire evening in deep conversation, and I left convinced I'd found my person. At that point, I managed operations at a distribution center while she pursued her undergraduate studies full-time. She harbored ambitious aspirations of practicing law, but financial constraints threatened those dreams. Her father was absent, leaving her mother to juggle multiple jobs while raising her alone. She confided her fears about affording her remaining college expenses, let alone the astronomical cost of law school. I immediately positioned myself as her protector and provider, promising whatever support she needed. That promise would reshape my entire existence. Initially, my contribution seemed modest. Throughout our first year together, I covered everyday expenses, food, textbooks, her cellular service. She expressed concerns about becoming dependent, but I dismissed them, genuinely wanting to ease her burden. When acceptance letters arrived from her ideal university to complete her bachelor's degree, the financial stakes escalated dramatically. She doubted her ability to manage the tuition costs. Without hesitation, I committed to making it possible. Reflecting on that moment now fills me with regret over my innocence. I started working additional warehouse shifts, took on weekend contract work, and liquidated my possessions, gaming equipment, collectible items, anything with resale value to generate funds for her education. She relocated to my place without paying rent, while I ensured she had optimal conditions for academic success. At the time, every sacrifice felt justified. I repeatedly assured myself that our joint prosperity awaited once she established her career. This was building our shared tomorrow, I thought. By her graduation, my financial reserves were essentially depleted. I'd exhausted credit on one card and secured a personal loan to bridge the gaps. She appeared overwhelmed with gratitude, crying as she expressed her inability to ever adequately repay my generosity. She vowed that once professionally established, she'd help restore my financial stability. Then law school applications arrived, and the pattern intensified. Her acceptance to an elite program came with even steeper costs than undergraduate studies. Once again, I stepped forward without hesitation. I added evening delivery work to my schedule. For 3 consecutive years, adequate sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford, but I convinced myself our partnership justified the exhaustion. We were building something together. Looking backward now, warning signs littered our path that I completely overlooked, blinded by devotion. During her final law school year, emotional distance grew between us. She constantly claimed overwhelming commitments with coursework or professional apprenticeships prevented quality time together. Our rare moments together found her distracted, constantly checking her device or discussing her impressive new law school circle. I attributed it to academic pressure, assuming normalcy would resume after graduation. Post-graduation conditions deteriorated further. She secured employment at a prominent downtown firm, and I barely saw her anymore. Late nights at the office and networking obligations consumed her schedule. When I suggested spending more time together, she criticized my failure to comprehend her career demands. Wanting to avoid appearing possessive or insecure, I retreated, telling myself she was simply establishing professional foundations. Once settled, we'd finally enjoy life together. Then came the devastating conversation. She arrived home one evening requesting serious discussion. Her tone immediately signaled trouble. She explained that extensive reflection about her trajectory led her to conclude our relationship had no future. Completely blindsided, I asked what I'd done wrong. She claimed it wasn't about my failings, but her needs. Her words still echo. "You'll always mean something to me. But I can't sacrifice the opportunity to create the existence I've envisioned." Then came the crushing revelation. She'd become involved with someone at work, a senior partner who aligned better with her aspirations. He possessed generational wealth, professional influence, and could provide the elevated lifestyle she felt she deserved. When I asked if she loved him, her response devastated me. I believe I could. 5 years evaporated. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every dollar invested in her education, None of it mattered. She walked away effortlessly, the ultimate insult. No offer of financial reimbursement. When I mentioned the money, she coldly stated I'd never asked her to accept my help. I'd chosen to provide it. Those words felt like physical violence. The person I'd loved so completely had become unrecognizable. Since then, I've struggled to rebuild. Debt drowns me while working 2 jobs and inhabiting our formerly shared modest apartment. Meanwhile, she flourishes with her affluent partner, broadcasting images of expensive meals and exotic getaways across social platforms. My existence in her story seems erased entirely. 2 months post-breakup, our mutual acquaintance, I'll call him David, contacted me unexpectedly. Though closer to her historically, he reached out with concerns about her new partner. He'd encountered rumors suggesting the man wasn't authentically wealthy or successful as projected. Initially, I dismissed this information, wanting no further involvement. But David persisted, revealing disturbing discoveries through his investigation. Multiple previous marriages, both ending disastrously, with ex-wives alleging concerning behavior. Curiosity overwhelmed my resistance. Personal research unveiled increasingly alarming details. This man faced multiple fraud and embezzlement lawsuits. He'd even faced arrest, though charges were eventually dismissed due to insufficient evidence. Rumors circulated about his pattern of deceiving women, feigning wealth, proposing marriage, draining their finances, then vanishing. Despite his ostentatious online displays, serious debt plagued him. He owed various creditors substantial sums and had defaulted on numerous loans. His luxurious facade was pure illusion, smoke and mirrors concealing reality. One significant setback would collapse everything. My emotions conflicted wildly. Part of me wanted to laugh. The man she'd chosen over me was completely fraudulent. Yet I couldn't eliminate feelings of concern. Despite her treatment of me, nobody deserved such exploitation. Or perhaps she did. I genuinely couldn't determine my feelings anymore. I didn't contact her directly. She'd made her choices and faced the consequences. But 7 days later, she called from an unfamiliar number. Hearing her voice triggered instant anxiety. Panic saturated her tone, bordering on hysteria. I understand you probably despise me, but I desperately need assistance. You were correct about everything, she pleaded. I remained silent initially, allowing her to continue. And continue she did. She'd begun noticing suspicious behavior, financial secrecy, refusing access to shared accounts, mysterious midnight phone calls, unexplained business meetings requiring his absence. Then she discovered he'd opened credit accounts using her identity, accumulating massive debt. The breaking point arrived when she found electronic correspondence. She planned confrontation and initiated divorce proceedings. I warned her that men like him resist downfall. Days later, she called again, expressing gratitude. Her confrontation had triggered explosive rage. He'd threatened career destruction if she attempted leaving. However, with legal assistance, she began separating finances and filing for divorce. Currently, she's staying with friends while untangling her situation. She requested an in-person meeting to apologize properly, but I told her I needed time considering whether that served me. Honestly, I remain uncertain about wanting to see her again. I helped because morality demanded it, but that doesn't erase her damage to my life. Moving forward, after providing evidence against her fraudulent spouse, I assumed our connection had permanently ended. She thanked me, apologized for past actions, and promised to make amends. But I questioned her sincerity. I'd already invested so much, emotionally, financially, mentally, that part of me craved permanent separation. Simultaneously, a persistent inner voice questioned, did she genuinely mean it? Could authentic change occur? I wasn't optimistic, yet wondered if closure or perhaps justice might eventually arrive. While focusing on personal reconstruction, updates about her situation continued reaching me through mutual connections, regardless of my interest. Apparently, conditions had catastrophically worsened. Her scammer husband depleted her remaining funds, maximized multiple credit accounts under her name, then disappeared entirely. She lost everything: finances, job security, housing. She depended on friends' hospitality while desperately attempting life reconstruction. Meanwhile, I gradually escaped the financial devastation she'd contributed to creating. I accepted additional shifts, implemented aggressive budgeting, and secured decent-paying freelance work. While unglamorous, I finally experienced progress after years of stagnation. I reminded myself her problems no longer constituted my responsibility. Yet occasionally, memories surfaced of how she once looked at me during happy times, calling me her foundation, her partner, her future. Such emotions don't simply evaporate regardless of subsequent events. One afternoon, while working on freelance projects at a cafe, a familiar voice emerged behind me. Turning, I found her standing there. She appeared transformed, exhausted, diminished, nothing resembling the confident, polished professional I remembered from her career launch. She looked defeated. She requested to sit, and shock prevented my refusal. She began apologizing again for past behavior, thanking me for helping with her husband's situation, and admitting she'd completely destroyed her life. Abandoning me, she confessed, represented her greatest mistake, haunting her daily. I mostly listened silently. As she continued speaking, realization struck. My emotions differed from expectations. No anger, vindictiveness, or sadness remained. Instead, detachment prevailed. I finally perceived her authentically, someone who made terrible choices without considering consequences until facing unavoidable results. Here's where circumstances became unusual. Another cafe patron overheard our conversation. This woman approached after my ex departed, expressing admiration for my composed handling of the situation. She inquired whether I'd considered project management professionally. Initially, I thought she was joking. She explained owning a boutique marketing firm, seeking someone capable of managing logistics, client relationships, and high-pressure problem-solving. My demeanor suggested relevant experience handling challenging situations. Boy, did I ever. She provided her contact information, encouraging me to call if interested. I nearly dismissed it as impossibly fortunate, but something urged me forward. What did I have to lose? I contacted her, completed an interview, and within 7 days secured new employment, legitimate work offering superior compensation, benefits, and genuine career development potential. My first real opportunity in years had materialized. Meanwhile, my ex's situation continued declining. She attempted returning to her previous law firm, but they refused reinstatement. Apparently, her husband had damaged relationships there before disappearing, and they wanted no association with resulting complications. She accepted lower-paying work at a small legal practice merely to survive financially. Several weeks later, she contacted me again, proposing we restart our relationship. She claimed missing me, having transformed and wanting to repair our connection. She even offered eventual financial reimbursement for educational expenses once financially recovered. Momentarily, I considered it. Then I reflected on everything endured because of her. My sacrifices, her lack of appreciation, how easily she discarded me when better options appeared. I realized I needed neither her apology, her money, nor her validation. I'd finally reached a position enabling forward movement, and I refused letting her drag me back into chaos. I declined politely but definitively. I expressed gladness about her attempts at life improvement, but stated we shouldn't remain interconnected. She looked crushed, but I felt no guilt. For the first time in forever, I controlled my own existence. Since then, continuous improvement has defined my experience. I'm excelling professionally, building new relationships, and even dating someone who genuinely values me. Interestingly, my current partner introduced me to the marketing agency owner initially. Life truly delivers unexpected surprises. The woman who once meant everything to me taught me invaluable lessons about self-worth, boundaries, and recognizing when someone views you as a stepping stone rather than a partner. While the journey was painful, I emerged stronger, wiser, and finally free to build the life I deserve. Trust Test Hub.